Good morning. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to the Marshall County Board of Supervisors as we meet in regular session on September 22nd, 2015 at 9 a.m. in Meeting Room 2, Northeast Corner, 3rd floor with all 3 members present. I invite you now to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just a notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for the discussion. You are requested to approach the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chairperson to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate and a roll call vote will follow. Item number 1, the approval or amendment of the agenda that has been presented.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we approve the agenda as printed.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Moving on to the consent agenda, item number 2 is the approval of the minutes from regular session of September 8th, 2015. Number 3 is manure management plan of annual update from Burt Farm Livestock, ID number 60557, manure management plan update that has been received and placed on file. There were no changes to this manure management plan. Number 4, accept the official report of the County Highway Engineer fiscal year 2015. And number 5, the approval of the claims as audited and authorize the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of same. The listing of claims paid at this meeting will be included with all claims paid for the month of September. The September list of claims will be part of the first meeting in October. I will entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed above.
And Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
And Patton.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 6, the much anticipated, long-awaited Alliant Energy Plant update. And we'll bring Ken Vincent up into the hot seat with the microphone on and the clicker in his finger, and tell us about the progress.
Why do you think everybody was here early,
Yeah,
Ken? They knew you were coming.
You use the microphone in front of you.
Surrounded by the press once again.
All your golden tones.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to give you a brief update on the progress that's being made at the Marshalltown Generating Station project. I have a few comments I'll talk about, and then I have a brief PowerPoint, some updated photos, gives you an idea what actually is looking like out there. So we are in the process of, one of the things we're doing is we're sponsoring a training session for the Marshalltown Fire Department, which will help the county as well, the county, the other small fire departments in the county. It's for high angle and confined space rescue. The city doesn't have, the fire department doesn't have the capability of doing that at this point in time, and the project needs that kind of service. So we're paying for that, and it's going to be taking place the week of the 28th of September. So we're looking forward to that. I'll start with the actual plant itself. There are about 450 people out there. About 100 of those are staff people like myself, not all Alliant, but the various contractors. The rest are craft positions. That could increase sometime over the winter, next spring. I'm not sure exactly the number, but it could increase significantly. Much of the equipment that was, the heavy equipment that's being transported in by rail has been received. The steam turbine and the generator associated with it, the large station transformers have been received, the high pressure and low pressure steam drums that sit on top of the plant, those have all been received and are in storage waiting their turn to be installed in the facility. We're doing a lot of work on the concrete foundations, slab on grade, the cooling tower, the steam turbine, the transformers, and then the blast walls. Blast walls are put up in case something would happen to one of the transformers. It doesn't cause a fire or go back in towards the plant itself. A lot of steel has been erected. I think at one point they had, I think it was last week, they had over 1,000 tons that they had erected. And you'll see the photos will indicate that. They're continuing underground work. The water line that the city installed has been tied into. They're continuing to work on sewer and water lines within the property. Let's see what else is going on. Doing a lot of the welding for the stacks that will come out of the back of the plant. Come in components, and they're putting those together. We've had a few weather delays, rain last week, wind. When it gets really extremely windy, then it's very dangerous for the people to be up in those high areas, so they have to back down. One of the things that's going on is the transmission line that comes out of this plant that goes over to the existing Sutherland Station substation area. That's in progress. Last week they had put up all the steel poles that they had received. All the concrete foundations that they need have been installed. They had 11 poles up, and they were waiting for receiving more poles. But that's going very well, and hopefully they'll be able to string the conductor and get it set before winter. Let's see, the pipeline. The pipeline, for the most part, has been completed. That's from Northern Border Station up by Gladbrook down to the plant, and it is ready for use. There are a few things that are necessary to be completed inside the yard, the gas yard at the station, and they are working on those. But for all intents and purposes, it is completed. So I want to show you a few pictures.
Ken, does that include topsoil and everything being put back?
Yes, that's the big thing. And we do have an agent that is available. If anybody, a landowner or farmer, has an issue, they know how to get a hold of him, or if they don't, they can get a hold of me, and we'll have him contact them. But it looks pretty good, to be honest with you.
I can't speak for the other guys, but I haven't been contacted about one issue at all.
Okay. That's
It's been
good.
very quiet.
Yeah.
You guys have really done
So-
a good job and keeping everybody happy.
It's the September. Oh, well, I think this is right. I think you're right. I just didn't change the title.
Oh, is it?
That's my fault.
Okay.
We loaded the right one yesterday.
All right.
She helped me load, she loaded this.
What
on
about
her system.
Michelle when she comes over?
Okay.
She's already done this once, so she knows.
Well, she's observant, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
Wants to make sure it's
Don't
right.
pull anything different on her.
Okay, all right.
Well, I've shown this picture many times. This is pretty close to what the plant will look like, even the colors. I think they've settled on the colors. These are pretty much the same as the Emery Station, which is located up near Clear Lake, which will be a sister plant to this one. Okay, this is one of the latest aerial photos that we have. This was taken by Gary Brandenburg, a local pilot and photographer, and he's been good enough to share these with me, and I want to give him some credit for the great work that he does. You can see, and I'm going to try to point this out. This is the gas yard. So, you know, the pipeline comes down to this, from this direction along Quarry Road and into there, and then it comes into the plant. You can see a lot of the steel has been erected. Here is where the combustion turbines sit. This is where the steam turbine will sit, and then these are the heat recovery steam generators. Here's just a little different angle of it. You can see how much concrete has been installed on what they call the tabletop. Of course, this isn't going to work right here. Yeah, that's the tabletop. And then back here, the inside of those are a series of tubes which are heated by the exhaust from the combustion turbines, turns it into steam, goes over to the steam generator. Those modules or those bundles have all been installed. So they're in the process of completing the connection of those. This just gives you an idea of how that's one of the bundles that is going to be placed inside the HRSG. And that device that is inside of was manufactured on site. And the result of that was that they only need one crane to do the installation versus two in the past. So they made a very good efficiency improvement by building that cage. There's just another picture of it when it's getting ready to be installed. This shows you some of the steel erection. This would be on the, I think that would be, well, I'm not sure what site it is, but you can get an idea. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, and you can see these were back in July, or excuse me, August. So there's been a lot more steel that's been put in place since that time. This is a picture of some of the equipment in the gas yard. These pieces of equipment right here, there are a lot of local manufacturer parts in there without naming that manufacturer. There's been a lot of questions about whether we are using local manufacturing equipment, and yes, we are. Here's just another picture of it. You can see some of the equipment. Now I'm going to show you a couple pictures of the transmission line construction. A lot of the poles had to be put onto a foundation, and I can't remember the depth of this, but it's fairly deep. It's like 10, 12 feet deep with all of that rebar. So there's quite a bit of foundation work that they did out there. And then this just shows some of the poles that have been erected to date. And I'm sure since these were taken over a week ago, there have been more that have been erected. They have yet to string the conductor, but that will be the next item. So. And I think that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Well, it's quite impressive to see all the equipment, the booms and everything that's out there.
Right.
I mean, it's really something how, and you know, your progression goes, like you said, you just showed us pictures from August, and it's changed. It changes almost every day. We watch up there at Mike's place, and we can see
Sure.
it just keep growing.
Right,
You know,
it is. It's kind of to a point where it'd be mostly structural steel that will be obvious to the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
Once they start putting the siding or the metal on the sides enclosing the building, then the work goes inside, and you're not going to be seeing much progress. So.
And when is completion date? Is it in 16 or 17?
It's probably about this time in 2016.
A year from now.
Substantial completion could be done, and at that point then commissioning, that's the testing and making sure everything is up to speed. Sure. and operating correctly. Backfeed is done, all that kind of stuff. So it's anticipated that around April 1st, 2017, it will go online or start producing into the grid. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. But it's sometime in the fall, winter of 2016, substantial completion of construction should be done.
You say you got 450 people down there that's working now.
Correct.
Will that just stay? That's about as high as it's going to get, isn't it? I mean,
no, they anticipate many more.
Really?
I'm not sure of the number. It varies. It depends upon how many they can find.
Sure.
It's difficult to get certain crafts. They're short carpenters right now. Welders are a premium, water makers. All those kinds of jobs are not really around in this area, so they have to come from a long distance, and sometimes.
Have we ever figured out where they're all staying? Somebody asked
No,
me
I
that
haven't.
the other day.
I gave up.
Yeah, somebody asked me that the other day, and I don't see a big influx of campers here and there, and the hotels. I mean,
There's some.
you know, some, but
There's some. The
450,
pipeliners, the
you know.
pipeliners, when they were here,
Yeah.
which they're pretty much all gone now, but there were, a couple hundred of those. They were in the hotels and campers and stuff, but there are still some in hotels and campers. There are places around. It's just tough to be in a camper over winter.
Yeah.
So
That'd be tough, man.
We get to chat with a lot of these guys when they stop into our business, and they're staying, there's quite a few that have rented homes in our
Right.
outlying areas, Montezuma, they're all over the place.
They're all over the,
Yeah.
all over the place, and they commute from Des Moines, Cedar Falls, any place where, you know, they're coming from all over.
Yep.
But we could anticipate more people coming in.
Well, thanks for the
Thank you.
continued update.
Good job.
Yep. All right, very good. All right, a big thanks to Ken. It's a much anticipated presentation taken care of. So we'll move on now to item number 7. This is approval personnel action to hire Buildings and Grounds Department Maintenance Mechanic number 2, full-time, at a $13.25 per hour, effective on or after September 28th, 2015. I've entertained a motion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve this personnel hire for Buildings and Grounds Maintenance Mechanic 2, full-time at $13.25 an hour, effective on or after September 28th, 2015.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that motion.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just want to make a comment that this is not a new hire. This is a replacement for an individual that is moving from our current Buildings and Grounds area over to secondary roads, so we are not increasing staff. And the individual that moved from secondary roads was filling a retirement position.
All right, anything else? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item number 8. This is a Class C native wine WCN license. Discussion and possible action to approve a new application for a Class C native wine license with living quarters, outdoor service, and Sunday sales privileges from Buzzed Bee Meadery, Inc., 1755 340th Street in Melbourne. The license is effective 10/1/15 for 1 year. And Michelle, would you like to comment on this? Yes, please.
Yeah, this is fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's on.
Michelle Sponheimer, you know me, my husband Wayne, the other half of Busby Meadery. And we are before you to request approval for the Class C license. My husband and I started the meadery, and what a meadery is it's a honey wine business. So no wineries, you know that term. Mead is a product that's very similar. Instead of using grapes, we use honey to ferment. And so we do have some beehives home, and decided, you know, a better thing to do with honey than produce a beverage. And so we began making mead, and decided to take it to a business level about a year ago. We incorporated and have been working for the past year to get our federal approvals. And so the alcohol industry is very heavily regulated, of course. And so we had to get a permit to produce from the federal government, from the TTB. That took about 6 months to secure that permit. After a lot of research and applications and communications, we got that step completed at the end of July. And our next step is to secure the state license. There's actually 3 separate licenses that we need from the state. One to produce, which is a Class A, direct shipper, so that we can ship product within the state. So somebody in Dubuque or Sioux City wants a bottle, we can actually ship to them. And then the Class C, which comes before the board for authority and review, allows us to sell by the glass on our premise. And our goal with the Class C, although we are not intending, you know, to have the big setups like you see at like John Arts Vineyard has events and all those kind of things. We're not really set up for that. But we would like the ability to be able to sell by the glass if we have somebody come in and do some tasting, and be able to do that, or to charge for the tastings themselves. Since that is a lot that goes out, we'll probably have you know, some free tastings under our Class A. We're able to do that, but the Class C would give us a little bit of option to try to balance out some revenue for those expenses going out the door. And so the Class C requirements. There are several things still that we're in process of understanding from the state requirements when it comes to service. We're inquiring about food permits and bathroom responsibilities and some of those things. We're still having some conversations to see whether or not it is the best thing for us. Once we're able to fully start production, it takes about 8 months to actually have a product. Mead takes a long time to ferment, and so we're not going to actually have anything really available for purchase until about this time next year or late summer is our goal. And so it's going to be a while for that. And then our first plan for marketing would be through like farmers markets events, going to things like that, maybe targeting some of our local retailer restaurant options where they could then sell the product, or kind of traditional when you think about going to a winery, you go and you taste and then you buy a bottle on your way out, that type of sale. So that's our primary focus for sales and marketing. But as we were applying for all the state licenses, we wanted to kind of explore all our options, which is why we're investigating the Class C as well, and hoping for approval on that. It's kind of new industry overall. It's a growing industry. We believe that we would be one of the first for sure, only operational meadery within the state of Iowa. And so there's about 99 wineries, I think, maybe more than that now within the state. But we would be the first only mead. Some of the wineries among the state do have a mead that they carry, that they produce, but they're still primarily grape function. And so we're excited about being able to do that. There's not very many meaderies across the country, but it is a growing industry.
Are there different flavors?
There are a lot of different flavors. Our traditionals are just your honey, water, yeast, nutrients. And Wayne's the expert when it comes to the manufacture part. Oh. He just lets me do all the talking. So, but we have a cranberry, a pomegranate, elderberry. We're real excited. We're going to introduce a aronia berry, try to tap into the growing aronia market. We have a chocolate, ginseng, lemon, a boucher, which is a caramelized honey, spiced, that kind of has like that mulled spice that you think of the ciders and things like that. So you do see a variety. They drink like a wine, usually in the 11 to 14% alcohol range, from very dry to a more sweet dessert type of wine. So it's very comparable to what you might see in a winery from that aspect.
Where do you get your bees?
I started out with 2 hives. We're only up to 4 hives now.
So how many bees is that?
During the peak of summer, you can have anywhere from 60 to 100,000 bees per hive.
Do we have to have a manure management plan?
I think we should.
They disperse evenly.
They disperse, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we gathered, what about 25 gallons this year from our honey harvest. And we're hoping to produce about 800 to 1,000 gallons of mead in our first production cycle, which would be not quite 5,000 bottles overall. And so we've got 10 tanks that can service up to 80 gallons. When you're doing some of those fruit meads, you won't get as high of a volume because the fruit takes up space. And so we're working on that. But that's kind of our goal. Since they do take a long time to ferment, it's going to be a while before we actually have something, and then we'll be turning it over and starting fresh. We plan to purchase honey from other local beehive keepers, especially the state apiarist. We've had some communication with, and so we're hoping to reach agreements. I think we've come to terms with some things to buy some of his honey from all his hives. He's more interested in the bees than necessarily the selling of the honey, since that's his role. So we're excited about that.
This will kind of follow the craft beer revolution that's going on right
does.
now. Unlike beer, do you have to have any heat in your process?
Actually, I try and keep heat out of it completely.
Right.
Okay.
Honey's pretty delicate flavor, and so if you boil it or heat it, you lose a lot of that flavor when it's done.
Any hops at all?
We can't actually have very much hops at all, just because of the regulation
Okay.
within the industry. But we do have, you can flavor it with just about anything else. I mean, we've been trying a lot of different herbal flavors.
One of the interesting things with the mead is every recipe has to be approved by the federal government as well, by the TTB. So, you know, we have a lot of test batches that we've been doing. When you come and see our space, you'll see a lot of test batches out there. But anything that we plan to produce and sell, the formula has to be approved by the TTB, as does the label itself. So to make sure that we have the Surgeon General's warnings on there, the alcohol level, any ingredients that need to be identified, all of that has to be approved through the feds. In addition, as the labels are also approved by the state. So there's a lot of steps that we...
Will they keep your formulas secret?
I sure hope so.
They do. You can actually search to some extent on their public registry as to what formulas have been, but it doesn't give the details.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I would entertain a motion on this.
Well, Mr. Chairman, being all Norwegian, and seeing that this mead is one of the finer things that the Norwegian culture gave the world, I would take pleasure in motioning that we approve the Busby Meadery Inc. license application effective 10/1/15 for 1 year.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I might mention, some people might wonder why the supervisors are the ones doing this. If it's within a city, in a town, then the city council takes care of these types of permits. But when it's out in the rural, then that's why it comes before the supervisors.
Yeah, we only have 3 liquor licenses or beer licenses that are within
We got
the
3 now,
county.
don't we?
Yeah, you'll be one. Lincoln Valley Golf Course is the other, and Harvester is the third.
All right. Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Congratulations, Wayne. Now it's time to go to work. Yeah, time to go to work. All right, moving on to item number 9, request for subdivision variance from Irene L. Packer, SV 15-1. This is a discussion of possible action item on this property, legally described as the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter, EX partial A section 1584T-R19W. And this item has already been through the Planning and Zoning Committee and have been approved by the Planning and Zoning Committee. So I guess I'm going to entertain a motion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the subdivision variance to Article 3, Section 3 of the plotting and subdivision ordinance, and allow a plot of survey to be filed in lieu of a subdivision. The property involved is the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter, EX parcel A, section 1584T R19W of the 5th Prime Meridian, Marshall County, Iowa.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that approval.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to item number 10, Marshall County employee flu shot distribution. Discussion and possible action on flu shot distribution to Marshall County employees. And I'm just going to start off and open it up for discussion with Deanne or anybody else that's in the room.
I might start it off since I'm the new guy. I didn't know where the money was coming from. I didn't know anything about that, so I did some talking and some research on this thing. To me, the first thing that would look like it was the most normal place for this to go would be the wellness program. And in investigating the wellness program, I didn't know where that money came from. So Deanne helped us out there. The wellness program money comes from the health fund. The health fund is part of the county budget, and so that is levied. And so it doesn't really matter too much where the money comes from, in that if it comes from the wellness program, it still comes from the health program, or the health fund. The health fund is a couple of $1 million. Now, why do we have so much money in the health fund? We are, our insurance program is self-insured. We have stops there with various kinds of insurance policies that would take care of catastrophic things. But in a bad year, we're going to need more money. And our responsibility as supervisors, if we're going to have our own health fund, is to be sure in a bad year that our employees' needs, health insurance-wise, are covered. So this $2 million that we have in the health fund, that's what that's for. But that's where this wellness program is also derived to keep people from getting sick. So just a little background on that. That's where that money is coming from, because it was kind of hard to know at first.
Well, you know, we kind of go through this every year.
Yeah.
On where we should take it out of, what we should take it out of. And I think it's become more clear this year. I've talked with Skip Lowe, our insurance representative, and he really couldn't give us a hearty thing on what we should do. And it's just something, you know, that we've got to decide what to do. And
See, at first I thought maybe the insurance company was kicking in a little money in the wellness program. And I thought, well, we got to be careful, but they're not doing that.
no,
This is, you know, so,
The bottom line is it all comes out of the fund. Currently, our fund is roughly $250,000. By law, we are required to have 6 months premiums, operating reserves, and what we pay for administration fees in this fund for a balance, which comes to about $800,000. That's what we're required to do by law. It would be extremely imprudent for the county to have anything less than about 2.5 times that, because when we have years where we have substantial claims, which we have gone through in the last few years, that fund can go down to about $1.6 million really fast because we are self-insured. So like Bill mentioned earlier, for the public that's out there listening, don't think that we're hoarding money having $2.25 million in our health insurance fund, because it's not a huge amount. We're enjoying a year where we have not had tremendous claims, and our fund has gone from approximately $1.8 million last fiscal year to $2.25 million this year, because we're enjoying a year where we have not had big claims with our employees. Like I said earlier, that can change on a dime. Thank God everybody's been healthy this year, and we haven't had any catastrophic claims. That's a wonderful thing, but you can't possibly project for that. So, you know, I'm going to reiterate on Bill's comment. The reserves are an extremely necessary thing.
you know, we had talked in previous years, and when Dave and then Bill's coming on with this and negotiating with the wellness committee, and their feeling was that they didn't want to take it out of the wellness committee per se. But again, after our investigation this year, we found out that it's all coming out of the same.
It's all the
kitty
same pot.
anyway.
Yep.
So I think this is going to help. I feel this is going to help further boards down the road to know what to do and the right way to do it with including the wellness committee. So,
Well, it'd be nice, you know, you and I have been on this board together for 6 years. It would be certainly nice not to have to go through this annually.
yeah.
And to set some policy so that this does not have to make an annual decision. It's just effective.
Well, I think we know now that it can come out of this fund.
Yep.
And that's where it needs to come from, out
And,
of this fund.
you know, you've investigated with not only our insurance company, but an outside entity. I'm not going to mention the name, that would be inappropriate. But we can literally have somebody come in and do these shots from an outside entity cheaper than we can do them ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not have any administration fees if our employees went to their doctors to get this shot, because then you would have the office call visit, the administration fees and everything else. So from a fiscal prudence standpoint, the best use of taxpayers' dollars is to literally bring everybody into the courthouse from all of our divisions and do the flu shots literally in one day. from what you've
Yeah,
investigated.
and, you know, talking to them, we'll have that set up in either, I think, the end of September, 1st of October, and get it done depending on what the motion is that we make today. We need to make a motion on how we want to set this up, and that way, nothing else, we've got it on paper in the computer, and then other boards can look back and see how we address this. And I think that's the main thing.
Now, the dates don't need to be in the motion.
No, I think
Because
the
that's
motion
gonna
needs to
vary,
consist
you know.
of
Where we
what
take it
fund
from.
we're taking it out of.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna throw out a motion, and then, it won't hurt my feelings if you amend it.
Tweak.
If it dies or it gets amended,
tweaked.
okay.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I would move to provide paid flu shots for all Marshall County employees paid by health fund funds.
Annually?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that we're not looking down the road doing this every year?
Don't want to make this, I don't want to go through, what are we going to do next year?
Exactly.
No, we're going to do the same thing next year.
Okay, now,
So-
Because this has been a real pain in the neck decision every year to go
before
through
we
this.
second this, do we need to include or not include retirees or spouses?
I did not do that. I just had,
Okay, so
I have just Marshall County employees.
okay,
That is pretty specific.
okay,
in that-
okay, as long as we got it down, so we've got something other, again, not only our boards, but other boards.
Would you,
And-
well,
I'm
then,
gonna refine my motion a little second and say, provide annual paid flu shots for all Marshall County employees paid from health fund monies. Is that okay?
I'm gonna amend it just slightly.
Tell me how to do it and I'll just change it.
Don't include retirees or spouses.
Put that in there?
Employees only.
But he's already saying that, he's got employees only, don't he?
Well, if
I
we're gonna
didn't-
make this very specific for future boards to have an exact thought process of what we did, let's really make it specific.
Okay. Not, maybe, and maybe not to include, well,
Yeah, not to
not to
include,
include retirees or spouses.
Or how about just former employees? Would that
You know,
include?
I think we're not gonna do a former employee.
that would be
anyway.
retirees or former employees
Okay, retirees.
or spouses.
I'm not trying to tell you how to make
Since
this.
it's not seconded, I can still continue doing this.
Yeah,
Haven't
but
done
she's
a
running
thing
out of
yet.
paper over there.
No, okay,
I'm just
okay.
waiting for the final here.
No, that's fine.
I've wrote too many times.
This is called wordsmithing. We can do
Okay.
that before the second. Okay, the motion would then be provide annual paid flu shots for all Marshall County employees, not including retired or former employees, paid from health fund monies.
How about
Or
and
spouses.
Or,
That's what spouses.
oh, and spouses.
But former employees don't need to be in there.
No, just
retirees
retirees
and
and spouses.
Okay,
We'll let you
Do it
do this
again.
one
I'm
more
Do it
time.
again.
okay. Provide annual paid flu shots for all Marshall County employees, but not retired employees or spouses paid by or paid from health fund monies.
I will second that.
All right, we got a discussion?
If you use the term former employees, that would include retired. Maybe not all former employees are
Retired.
If they're former employees and they're not retired,
They're not on our.
they're
plan.
not on our plan. We really only have to worry about retirees and spouses.
And is that what the?
I understand both,
Yeah,
what you're
I
saying.
understand what you're saying.
but I'm happy with what we got.
Okay.
All right, we got a motion and a second.
Before we vote, would you read that back to us, please?
Well, I'm not sure I got the 100% here, so.
Okay.
bear
We'll work
me
with
here. Provide annual paid flu shots for all Marshall County employees paid by the health funds, not including retired or spouses.
I would say that's perfect.
All right, we got a motion and a second.
And a second.
And followed by discussion. Any other discussion?
Just that it's gonna be really nice not to go through this every year.
Oh, there'll be something else.
I
come up,
think
and
we've-
Don't worry about it. We'll be able to.
I think we've got this down to the point where I think everybody can live with it.
And I know as an employee for the past 3 years, every year we kind of not sure what's gonna happen and what's going to happen, and if we're paying for half or,
I know it.
and then by the time we make a decision, it's usually later, and we could have gotten the shot already, and so I think this is a great.
But-
Yeah, this
This
way
is
it can be,
great.
you know, first of
Exactly.
August, we can start in on it.
Yep.
Whoever, Lisa's been doing this, so
But the-
that's good. But
It's getting easier though for you.
this is, it's not a lot of money, and we realize up front, not everyone's gonna participate. I mean, in this room, on this table, not everyone takes a flu shot. But it's worked for me, gentlemen.
Roll call, please.
Gravenbauer,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes?
Patton.
Yes.
All righty then. Moving on to item number 11. Oh, public forum. This is time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in the public forum. I would,
Just a reminder about parking,
yeah, I was just gonna remind,
Oktoberfest.
we got Oktoberfest this weekend, and our parking, our county lots are on First Avenue, off of First Avenue, will be closed to all of us, so, we've got alternate parking down at secondary roads, there's parking down there.
It's a city lot.
City lot.
It's a city lot, but we'll ask Paul to stay out on the road, that way we can use your parking spot. But we're gonna have a great time this weekend. The front yard of the courthouse will be full. It should be a good Oktoberfest. Anything else?
Seeing as how you watch the Woolly Worm every year, are you going to make any weather predictions for Oktoberfest?
Oh, for Oktoberfest, it doesn't get into this time of year. But the Woolly Worm does say that we need our secondary roads to get more salt.
We're full.
And that's reassuring. Anything else? Item number 12 is the adjournment. The next regular session is October 6, 2015 at 9 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session shall be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the board of supervisors office by Thursday, October 1st, 2015 at 1 p.m. There be no further business to come before the board. We are adjourned at 9:42. Thank you very much.